All right. Whenever you open the page, there's something more to say, but we are not going to indulge like that. We will start. This is about a third down the page, Lamet, and the line begins with the word Bein. Ayin Sev Hamatzil Nivroi. And what we are saying is Atzilus is the Memutza. It is the intermediary. And the intermediary, we already know, is that position that is able to transmit the essential elements of a higher madriga to the lower madriga in such a manner that the lower madriga is able to accept this input without losing itself. It is able to process it and incorporate it in its mitzius, and yet it has the elements of a totally higher madriga. So let's maintain the place that we pointed. Just want to elaborate a little more. The whole phenomenon of oineg is really a superworldly phenomenon. And we don't need to go any further than to see that the worldly understanding, all the scientists who are studying the human being from a scientific approach, from a worldly approach, cannot relate to it. They negate the whole presence of life. Life is just a reaction of one chemical against another. There is not an element of life, an element of oil. And that is due to the fact that they have decided, they have limited their perspective on accepting exclusively the tangible presence of the world without allowing for the having a source. And therefore, no matter what you encounter in the world, you are going to bury it in the tangible element of the world. And as much contorted effort that it takes to bury it, that's what you'll do. Because you have decided that there is nothing else. To accept something else, you have to admit the fallacy of your whole approach. It's not really a fallacy, because you are permitted to understand the world in the scientific method, in the experiential method, provided that you recognize that there is a life force flowing through it. The Rebbe was asked when they were aiming at the moon. The Rebbe was asked, is there anything in the Torah that is opposing this type of intrusion into the outer space? The Rebbe says absolutely nothing. There's nothing in the Torah that prevents you to explore anything in the world you want to explore. The only thing that the Rebbe said, I mentioned to you, is that they'll be disappointed what they find over there. But otherwise, go right ahead, be my guest. Will that help you to understand the universe? Absolutely not. It will only further deprive you from understanding what is really going on. That's essentially what happens. Because the more you go, the further committed you are to limiting your understanding to the physical, to the tangible element in the universe. Okay, coming back to us. Oyneg, the very presence of Oyneg, is a direct testimony to the presence of a higher element than world in our world. And let me elaborate a little bit to the extent possible. I said there's no way to define Oyneg, but we can point a finger at it. Seichel, we've explained many times that the nature of Seichel is that it's intrusive. It is investigating. It takes things apart and can go from step to step and try to identify and looking for things. Therefore, when Seichel identifies that there is Oyneg, for example, it identifies Oyneg by evidence. Not that it actually appreciates what the Oyneg is. There's evidence that there is Oyneg. There's evidence that there is godness in the world. This is how Seichel is. Except for Chochmah, which we will touch later. Oyneg does not have that process at all. Anything that requires a process is not Oyneg, automatically. As we explained all the way in the beginning of this whole discussion, that Oyneg, the one quality in Oyneg is that it is a direct flow. There is no obstruction. If there is obstruction, it's already not Oyneg. Like we gave an example. In the physical arena, in the very physical experience of life, breathing. We have food, but we take food into our mouth and we digest it, chew it, we like its taste, and all kinds of different things, but still, it's a process. You taste it, you chew it, you digest it, and then you take a break. A few hours later, you take some more. The life experience, not only is it constant, like breathing, but moreover, as we always point out, that breathing takes place effortlessly. If one has to exert an effort in breathing, he is in terrible suffering. He is experiencing life in what's called kisa de chiyusa, in a very limited and subset level. Only what remains from before. Life has to be a direct flow. And I explained that even though physical life actually is through breathing, and breathing seems to be an activity, breathing is an activity that is inactive and activated within us. It is not that we are actively breathing. As we pointed out, that the air that we breathe flows into us automatically due to air pressure that's around us. And if there's a lack of air pressure and we have to draw the air, it's very, very painful. And it's definitely not the experience of life. It's just sustenance. Rahman Islam, it's like when they massage a person's heart, to keep it alive until he catches. This is not life. Life is sensing the presence of life in reality, and you are part of that reality. This is what life is. It's not something that comes from you. It is something which is there in reality. This is even in the physical world. There is air pressure all around us. And this is what permits us to experience life, a subset of life on a physical level, but nevertheless it's life, much superior to the intellect. You cannot experience through your intellect that which you experience through breathing. There's no way. There's no comparison, no matter how profound your understanding is. This is the real thing. What's mean the real thing? The real thing means the source of life. It's not you. In intellect, it is still your own experience, your own insight, through your koyach. Even Chochmah, they said Chochmah has a certain, is a memutza, so it's a little bit of an exception, but still it's a koyach. There's a means through which you get that inspiration. Whereas in breathing, there is no means. It's a direct flow. This is the phenomenon of oineg. It's a direct connected to the actual presence, the godly presence in the nefesh. And this is what this whole discussion is about. The godly presence in the nefesh. How can it be? There is such a vast difference. It's not an infinite difference. It's the difference between bli gvul and gvul. So we say, and it goes through different stages, and there is what's called a mamutza. And the mamutza is that which allows for this kind of connection. A mamutza is that which recognizes the source, and also is able to disseminate that source into the individual buckets. This is the mamutza. But how does it disseminate it? Directly. It does not take it and carry it. It directly connects it, a direct connect. This is the phenomenon of Chochmah. That even though it disseminates, it breaks it down, but it does not break it down by first acquiring it, by first integrating into it, redefining it on its own, in its own level. It is direct connect because of the phenomenon of bitul in Chochmah. It allows the direct flow. And this is what we're learning now. That Atzilus is a memutza. Bein ein Yisod ha'ma'atzil nivroim. A phenomenal statement. Atzilus is mimatzei. It's the intermediary. It intermediates. And the word intermediary is just, for lack of a better word, there are, as we should have a chance to discuss later, there are two types of intermediary. Perhaps at this point we should make that point. There is mamutza hamachaber, mamutza hamafsik. That's exactly what we just now explained. When the Rav explains the Seichel to the Talmud, normally, in the normal circle, we learned in Ayin Aleph, you remember, we learned the whole union of that you can actually bring the essence in through Hashpah. But normally, the Hashpah from the Rabbi is from his Seichel to his Seichel, from Bina to Bina. And therefore, it first becomes the Seichel of the Rav. Not the Chochmah of the Rav, and certainly not the Oinig of the Rav. It is rooted in the Oinig and rooted in the Chochmah. But by the time he transmits it, it has been transformed into a Seichel, a tangible Seichel, which he then presents to the Talmud. As long as it's not a tangible Seichel, he can't present it to the Talmud. So he's a Mamutza. He takes from the Seichel Orav, and he takes from the Oineg Orav, and brings it to the Talmud, but he is Musa HaMafsik. There's a break. And then there is a Musa HaMachaber. Chochmah, per se, is a Musa HaMachaber. The Musa that we are talking about, the Musa that permits the flow of Oineg, must be a Musa HaMachaber, as we pointed out. Oineg, as soon as there is a break, there is no Oineg. Like he said in a simple term, a life cannot be restarted. If there's a break in life, there is a break in life. Life has to be direct flow. Even in the physical world, in the physical level, as we discussed. It cannot be Mamutza HaMafsik. It has to be Mamutza HaMachaber. So why do you need a Mamutza if it's a Mechaber? Because you have to downsize it, so that he can understand, he can find himself in this Oineg. Like we say, you have to be able to find in the Oineg HaNefesh the element of movement of the hands. In order to be a human being with all the functioning koiches, you have to be able to find in the Nefesh the movement of the hand. And as we point out, where is the Nefesh come the movement of the hand? This is to the Mamutza. What is a Mamutza HaMachaber? What's mean Mamutza HaMachaber? Mamutza HaMachaber means not that, there's certain circumstances you'll be able to move the hand. No. The Nefesh recognizes that movement of the hand is something, is a significance. That's mean Mamutza HaMachaber.
I didn't understand the first part. You said you have to find the Einig in moving the hands.
Yes.
I'm just not following that point.
This is what we discussed the whole time, that in every coil there has to be Einig.
Yeah. No, but I mean, you're not saying that there's a necessity in finding that Einig, because the whole idea that it's constant, there's no hefsek, is that you don't need to identify or establish an Einig. It's Mela. There's Einig in movement of the hands as a human being.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be acquired. It's just that's what it
No. Okay. Right. I didn't realize it could be misunderstood. In order to give life into the hand, you have to be able to find in the nefesh, in the Oineg HaNefesh, an element that's called movement of the hand, and then allow that connection between the hand and the nefesh to occur. Do you understand?
I think I understand. I'm just
Find. The word "find" over here is perhaps allegorical. You have to identify, perhaps more correct. Not find because you lost it. Find because it's lost in the greater Oineg. Therefore, you can't relate. You can't identify it. You have to identify it. You don't seem to.
I just don't understand what you're saying. You have to. I mean, are you saying you have to identify it in terms of in order to understand the Inyan of Einig, we have to be able to identify that within everything there's an Einig as it is in the hands. Are you saying we actually have to identify the Einig in the hands? What do we have to identify Einig for? It's there.
No, okay, you're taking it out of context. I explained the Inyan Mumutza HaMechaber. What's Mumutza HaMechaber mean? Mumutza HaMechaber means a Mumutza that connects the lower, the koyach, to the nefesh. What does connecting mean? How does it do that? How does it make that connection? This is the hand and this is the nefesh. This is a koyach and a limited koyach, and this is the nefesh. The connection is made by this phenomenon that in Chochmah you can find and identify the koyach of movement of the hand as it is in the nefesh. And this is how it's mechaber. Okay?
This Mumutza Mechaber, it joins, and before we said it downsizes. I'm trying to think what that would mean. Meaning, it's still a direct connect. It hasn't been reformatted.
So the muscle for this we have, I think, an ample muscle. There's more to be said, but that was definitely sufficient. We have the muscle from movement, but let's say the hand. The nefesh perceives, let's say, on a higher level, the entire area over here as one entity, one area. And therefore, this cup can stand here, and this cup can stand here, and it can stand here. If it stands here, it's because I chose it to stand here. It can stand any place over here. From that perception that it can stand any place over here comes the downsize, is that I can actually physically move it from here to here. You understand the difference? In other words, I can perceive that this is all this whole area can accommodate it. And since it can accommodate, I can actually physically move it there.
Oh, and there's oneg in that movement.
In that movement itself, which is a subset of the ultimate, of the general perception that this is all one.
The actual movements, they so to speak prove that you can.
It's a subset of the overall. If I did not have an overview, I couldn't move it.
And in each movement, there's this oneg because it connects back to the overall truth.
Each movement is, when you say because, I don't know what you mean by because, I have to be careful. Each movement is a living entity.
Okay, and that's to say it hasn't been mediated through seichel, like we said before. Seichel.
That's right. It's not. There's no mumutza. That's right. It's not. My seichel directs my hand to move, and it moves like a robot. No. It's a living movement.
It's a living movement, and even though where you choose to put the cup may have some so-called logical element to it.
Yes, that's
an aside.
That's a practical element, but the ability to do that. Now, the real movement is that. And the reason that I choose is also because of the chayes, but that's not broaden the discussion. Every action is a living action, no matter how trivial. And in order to do that, you need a mumutza to be able to correlate the chayes on effort, the oineg on effort, to the oineg in this movement. when you move the cup from here to here, say, what are you doing? Come on, you're a living person, you're not a machine. He says, I'm a machine, I'm a living person. And we have here now that Atzilus is mematze between Oyer Ein Sof and Oilams and Nivroim. Oyer Ein Sof, just if you translate the word, it means, if we say that this area is all one area, Oyer Ein Sof is infinity itself. So Oyer Ein Sof. This Oyer Ein Sof, what is world, what is Nivroim, how do Nivroim find their place in Oyer Ein Sof? A Nivro is an entity that performs, that exists in a limited environment. Where does he come to Oyer Ein Sof? Besides his own limitation, the environment in which it's present is limited. But as we say, yes, Atzilus is a memutze between Oyer Ein Sof and Oilams and Nivroim. Okay, let's just go. This is actually, I went back a line, but we'll, the Hainu, and that is, how come, how does it happen that Atzilus should be able to be mematze between Oyer Ein Sof and Nivroim? The Hiyois, the Atzilus, who ha Hisgalus the Oyer Ein Sof boru, being that Atzilus is the Hisgalus. I don't know if you remember the emphasis we made last time. This time we're going to, in Hashem, elaborate even further. Ha Hisgalus the Oyer Ein Sof boru. It is the Hisgalus of Oyer Ein Sof boru. Shebo mehahelem al hagil. Hisgalus means that it comes from helem al hagil. Coming from helem al hagil means, again, the principle. It is the same inyan that is above in Oyer Ein Sof. That is behel, because if it were a different inyan, then it's not musa hamchaber, it's a musa hamafsik, and doesn't bring any chayas. It is mamash mehahelem al hagilu, the same inyan that's behelem comes hagilu, but it comes into gilu. The fact that it comes into gilu, therefore, it allows it to be able to downsize it and bring actually it's not downsizing yet, but allowing eventual downsizing, so that you can identify various aspects in it because of the fact that it comes legit. And here's where we're going to interrupt. Okay. Until tomorrow. Have a good day.